do
What's up, Jim Brad?
building,
You good?
calculating the people.
Hey, fire storm outside.
I know.
Good day. Hey.
I really need you to vote for Steve.
So the only thing we're doing right now is just everything.
Y'all ready?
pertaining to the road.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and at this time, Mr. Slade, will you give us the invocation?
Father, you're so good to us. We think about this special week that we are now in. Father, we think about what it means to each of us to know that you have made a way for us to be made right with you. You've reconciled us through your Son. Father, his sacrifice on the cross that we will celebrate. Father, that act of love, that act of mercy, Lord, is a greater gift than we can ever imagine. Father, as we prepare our hearts to celebrate the resurrection on Sunday, I pray that we will be right with you in those moments, Father. We'll recognize the importance of that celebration, that we will give you the praise and the glory for what you have done for us. Father, the blessings that you pour out on our community are overwhelming. We think about, Father, how you have richly blessed us beyond what we deserve. And so, Father, we thank you for that. I thank you for these men and their willingness to sacrifice. Now give them what they need today, the wisdom and discernment that they need to make good decisions. In Christ's name, amen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Slade. At this time, before we go into public comments, my term is up on presidency, and at this time, I'm going to nominate Mr. Gaines as president and Mr. Bishop vice president. Do I have a motion?
You get that motion, but I'll second it.
All right, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Go ahead, take it on, Mr. President.
Thank you. We've done the invocation as I was coming in. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Jared is with us. Public comment. Well, before we get started, we've got a big agenda. And we've got executive session that is pretty strong. I want to get through our agenda to where we can go into executive session at 10:30. We got some people that have flown in out of town, and we've got to take care of that. And I don't want to have y'all sit outside for an hour and then come back. So let's try to finish it in an hour and a half to where everybody can be gone, okay? So we're gonna try to keep our comments as short and not repetition. Like if you have something to say and somebody else, let's let one person be the spokesperson, okay? Unless you have something specific that's different. All right, public comments first. Central Mississippi Regional Library System, Regina. Y'all all, this is, all of y'all come forward.
Come on, we see you.
Good morning,
Yeah.
Mark.
Good morning, how are
Good
y'all?
morning.
Good morning.
All right. Let's just call them and set it up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
How are you? Thank you.
Well, first of all, can I go ahead and get
Yes.
started?
Mara,
Okay.
Please.
Yes,
You're
my
the
name is
president.
Mara Polk, and I'm the director of Central Mississippi Regional Library System. And just so that y'all know, we have been in partnership with Rankin, Scott, Simpson, and Smith counties since 1986. So I think that is wonderful that Rankin County has that investment in our future, in our present, and many thanks to the people sitting behind here for your support. I have been here as the director for at least 10 years. Also, thank you to Keith Hicks for keeping us going with our projects that we have throughout the county. Because of the work that you do, we can do our work. So thank you for that. A couple of other things. You got distributed the Golden Book of Stats. In there, there's lots of great pictures of all of the county residents there, especially Rankin County. You know Rankin County has 9 libraries in it. Your board members are Ed Salas and Renee Clark, and they do a fantastic job representing the citizens of Rankin County. I'm going to introduce our librarians that are here with us. Well, our librarians, I think one of them is not here. Amy Lee is with Brandon. Kimberly Ollison is with Florence. David Muse is with Flowood. Morgan Hedgeland is with Pearl. Tina Mooney is with Pelahatchie. Regina Hudson is with Puckett. Eleanor Jones is with Reservoir, Dwayne Helms is with Richland, and Jessica Ward is with Sandhill. So as y'all know, yes, and they are the people that I really entrust to take care of our libraries. They get it going, they serve our community. Without them and their leadership, I don't think that we could have the type of products that we do for our citizens. And as y'all know, we have a population here in Rankin County of 157,031 folks. Of those people, 121,058 people have cards. And as of fiscal year 22, 77% of our Rankin Countyans have library cards. That was a 2% increase from last year. So I think that's a wonderful stat to have, that many people are invested in getting a library card. Because that library card can be used in any of our 4 counties. So a couple of other things that you need to know is that Regina Hudson was voted as Rankin County Employee of the Year, and she's at our Puckett branch. We also had an Employee of the Year. She's not with us because she is the Youth Services Supervisor. Her name is Erica White. She is at the Flowood Library. She got honored as a co-winner of the entire CMRLS award-winning staff that year. And then also, we give out awards to our branches in 3 tiers. We have a small, medium, and large division. In our large division that year, we honored the Pearl Public Library. So out of all the libraries in the large divisions, Pearl Library won the Library of the Year.
You have anything to do with that?
He should just shake his head yes. He did have something to do with that.
We know he did. We know about it.
In your booklets, you'll see a breakdown of the Central Mississippi Regional Library stats with the Rankin County stats. You can see that 352,832 patrons visited our libraries this past year. 283,720 materials were circulated. 42,406 reference questions were answered. 35,310 people attended all our programs this past year. 22,741 people used our computers for a total of 12,848 hours. And the number of people that used the Wi-Fi in all of our libraries in Rankin County, 33,368. So that's one of the most popular things right now, is that you're seeing more people use the Wi-Fi stats. And the next product that we're going to be bringing to all 20 libraries is wireless printing. Only our 3 large libraries in Rankin County have wireless printing, which means you could bring your mobile device and send off your prints to whatever library you want and then go have them picked up at that branch. So that's coming up. So the last thing that I'll talk about is we do have a way to, since we're a political subdivision, there's not very many things that we can do monetarily as far as showing. I mean, we do try to give a 3% raise, but what we do is we try to give awards, and these are star awards. So we have 6 categories where if the library has a 10% increase or more, I have to repeat that, a 10% increase or more, they are awarded a star for that year in that category. Those categories are circulation of materials, patron visits, programming attendance, the number of reference questions they answered, the number of computer users, and the number of computer users hours used. And I think that was it. So I'm going to announce the library and how many stars they got and what they got those stars in. The Brandon Public Library is a 3-star library, and they had increases in visits, computer users, and circulation. Florence Public Library is a 5-star library. They received increases in circulation, reference questions, program attendance, computer hours, and visits. Flowood Library is a 5-star library. Patron visits, reference questions, program attendance, computer users, computer hours. Pearl Library is a 6-star library, so they've received all 6. You'll have to talk to Jay about that. So that's all the categories.
Tell us about that, Jay.
Florence was pretty close, Mr. Morrison. Pelahatchie, circulation, reference questions, and program attendance. Puckett, program attendance, Reservoir, patron visits, circulation, program attendance. It's starting to, I'm getting tongue-tied. Richland Library, 5 stars, reference questions, patron, program visits, computer hours and computer users. I'm sorry, this is why people make glasses. And then Sand Hill is a 2-star library, program attendance and circulation of hours. So with that said, it's been a tough couple of years, but I think that the resilience, the beauty of people is our resilience and able to build back and be better. And I've always said in the 10 years that I've been serving you is that I am always open to you calling me, emailing me, however you want, to make things better for our citizens across the board. And Rankin County is definitely, no exception to that. I will take everything that we need to do to make it better. And with that being said, do y'all have any questions or comments? I'm sorry about the blunder of the talking, but it is difficult to talk into the mic once you're here. And if you've done it a couple years, you just get really tongue-tied up here.
You're doing a great job.
So,
and,
we
really
appreciate
a lot
all
of
of y'all.
improvements, Yeah, great job.
All right. So thank you
We
very much.
thank-
Can we
we
have a
thank
picture
y'all.
with you real quick?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes,
absolutely.
okay. So let's do, they're really
We'll
frozen.
stand up and y'all
So you'll stand up and-
come in here in front of us.
Good morning. That's right, I thought that was self-explanatory.
All good?
One more.
Daniel.
Good job.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all.
Y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for what you do.
Y'all get one more asset in Rankin County.
See
Thank you.
y'all. Thank y'all again. Appreciate y'all.
All right, we're gonna move to old business. We have a motion to, do I have another public comment? Oh, crap. That's old.
Oh,
No, I
No,
didn't either. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. We've got a page over here. I'm sorry. All right. These public comments, are they all, well,
I think most of
Here's
it's
a-
gonna be for the
They've
public
circled
hearing.
the wrong thing.
huh?
They've circled the wrong thing. I think it's mostly farmer's market. I'm about to bring them in because there's
Steve,
a lot.
most of those folks we think are gonna be for these considerations on land use.
Right.
As opposed to a straight up public comment.
okay,
So,
that's,
all right,
okay. All right. We'll
we'll move on.
all right. Old business.
I make a motion to approve the old business.
Second.
All right. Brad made a motion to approve and Jared seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Everybody else is farmer's market, they wrote on there. That's what they wrote.
Okay. Motion approved.
Second.
So moved.
Our consent agenda.
Yep.
Yeah.
Motion to approve is consent agenda.
Second.
All right. I made, excuse me, Daniel made the motion, Jared seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Motion approved. All right, Caroline Gilbert.
Hey, good morning.
Okay, item A, I have a request to refund mobile home taxes on account 4323. This was assessed as real and also given mobile home, tax receipts, and we need to void the mobile home taxes for 2023 and refund the mobile home taxes for 21 and 22.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All right, Daniel made the motion, Brad second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved.
Item B, we need to void 2020 and the 2021 tax sales and refund any tax sale purchasers for PPIN 7333 due to an erroneous assessment.
Have a motion. All right,
Second.
Brad got it again. Jay made the motion, Brad second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, motion passed.
Item C, we need to void the 2021 tax sale and refund any tax sale purchasers for PPIN 12896 due to this being a consolidated property and one was deleted in error and should not have gone in the tax sale.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Jay makes motion,
Second.
Daniel seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed, motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Gilbert.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bridget Herron, we're gonna have our purchasing clerk.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My first item, this morning I'm requesting authority to advertise for the semi-annual bids for the unit system.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, Jay makes a motion, Brad seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The next item, I'm requesting approval of 3 copier contracts with Southern Duplicate for the tax collector's office.
Yep.
Have a motion?
approved.
Second.
Daniel makes a motion, Jared second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Harrison, 3 minutes.
Good, less than that. Thank y'all. Road work accomplished for March and road work scheduled for April.
Motion approved.
All right. Brad makes a motion to approve, Jay second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Motion passes.
Got a request for approval of Comcast cable, Briar Hill Road and Holland Road in District 1.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Jay makes a motion, Jared seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Motion passes.
The authority, board president and the county administrator, 3-year agreement with iWorks Road Department, Work Management Software Solution Program for $31.5 annually.
Let me make a
tell me
correction.
what that
That
is.
31.5 includes the initial setup. It's actually 19 annually.
Oh, just 20,000.
Tell me what this is.
So this is basically, I'll go into it and then I kind of let Will. We've been kind of looking at some stuff for the last couple of years, different programs to work with the road department that corresponded from the field to the office and kind of mirrored our work, Jared, as far as work orders and stuff like that. And, we've had some problems with the program we've got. So we found this iWorks program, and a lot of our local governments around us use this program, like our cities and stuff like this, is how we end up getting in contact with it. We've researched it, it works, it does what we want it to do, plus more. I think it'll make us a little more efficient on our work order stuff. I know it is expensive, but we're fixing to have to spend quite a bit of money on our program we have now. And I'll kind of let Will, wherever he's at, kind of fill in on the computer part of it.
I
Will
think
this
he
be
said he's
kinda like-
gonna help them be able to streamline their work. Right now, they're having to do a lot of paperwork and double entry stuff. This way, they'll be able to supposedly enter at one time, and it'll all flow through electronically, do away with a lot of paper that they're using.
So like, somebody calls, somebody just say Jay calls in a work order. It'll basically come through an email system, basically no paper will be handled, go right to a crew. Once the crew works it, he'll punch in on his iPhone what he's done, and go straight back to the thing. It's gonna knock probably 2 or 3 days of clearing up work orders and different things, and track our time also, that we'll have that all together, so.
Will it, you know how we were getting,
Yes.
work orders accomplished, work orders, we'll start getting that back, something
Yeah.
like that?
And that's part of the
Yeah.
program that we don't, I don't wanna get into that right here, Jared, but that
Right.
part of the program, we kinda bought down, stripped down Carl on the last one.
Okay.
I'm gonna kinda let Will fill in a little bit.
Yeah, 'cause kinda like being, keep up where they're going, you know, what we are doing.
But we've had Wills and Keith involved in this
Okay.
process.
All right,
Yeah,
that's
this one
all.
becomes totally
I don't wanna
new.
take up any more time, I was just curious, okay.
Okay.
Any questions?
Does it allow us to track equipment use?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's part of the initial setup is stationing and programming every person, every piece of equipment, every vehicle, and then also mapping our system, mapping our county, so that if somebody calls in something, they put in an address, it sends that team that's closest to them to that spot.
How's it gonna map the equipment, put serial numbers in?
It's
How
a
would you map
description.
equipment?
Well,
It'll
it's,
be done through serial numbers and our asset numbers for the county,
Yeah.
Jared, so Whenever you get ready for inventory list.
Yeah.
just hit a button.
And that, it's gonna know who's in that truck. So it'll have the team that's associated with that vehicle as well.
It'd be nice to interface with our fixed asset program we use now.
That's an option down the road. And it is expandable. If at some point we want to move our building permit function to this program, we can do that as well.
So will it actually calculate the permit and print it out too?
On the building side,
Right.
we didn't look at that a whole lot. All I did was ask how much would it be to add this, and it was around $4,000 to add the building permit function. But it's, what you have to remember is this is an on-site, instead of them writing down what they've done and taking it back to the office, and then somebody at the office, they do everything on-site. So if they're filling a pothole and there's another pothole there, they can enter that action as well to update our system to know we didn't just fill the one pothole that was requested, we did all this other work as well.
You do know our workers, right?
Yeah.
You know
There's
what?
gonna have to be some training done.
Well, most everybody can use an iPhone, and this
I
is
mean, it's
all,
gonna, what it end up being just a drop-down box, Jay, and all they have to do is just hit a button and say 8 hours, 10 hours, 4
Yeah,
hours.
but all the employees are not gonna be handling this. This is
No.
gonna be your leaders.
That's correct.
Right.
So we've been using the program we have now for several years. We got all kind of information in there. We gonna be able to interface, take all that, and transfer it into our new program?
Yes, that's actually part of the initial setup, is they're gonna actually take from our database, take all of our existing information, as well as get Rankin County's ArcGIS information, and set all that information up. That's what we're paying for the setup for, is for them to do that, to pull from our SQL.
That'll be very beneficial.
it also has a stormwater component, just in case you're wondering.
All right.
So
I
if we
think,
get a stormwater department, it'll be irrelevant.
yeah, we do, we're
All right.
getting one.
We'll get working on it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Brad makes a motion, Jared seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Motion passes.
Mr. President, if you indulge me, I got one thing to add to it. It's a permit that we got in late, and we got everything done, so I would like to add a utility permit, AT&T, for Luckney Road and River Bend.
Motion to add this item?
Second.
All right. Do I have a motion by Jay, Jared seconds? Any other discussion to add? All in, sir?
No, go ahead and add. I do have one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved, and it's add Luckney and what, Mike?
River Bend.
I make a motion to approve.
The one add that I would request on that motion is that, in exchange or as a condition to the receipt of the permit, AT&T is waiving any and all claims that they, claim that they have against Rankin County for damage to any utility infrastructure.
Okay.
Or for relocation.
Yeah. All right,
So,
That's
would you
a
add,
condition
would you
to
add
issue
that
this
motion?
permit.
so, but we still have to deal with the Andrew Chapel stuff.
Yeah, you have been doing that consistently with your conditions.
All our AT&T's been the same motions, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What say you, Jay? You made a motion,
I made a motion to approve.
as Craig said.
Nope.
All right, do I have, all right.
So what are we approving?
We're approving this with the condition that they will not hold us liable for any
Past,
Past
present,
or-
future damage
damages
to
in-
AT&T infrastructure.
Is that what you,
I'm good with that.
okay?
Yeah.
They say
Right,
you
is that-
got two different deals
Yeah.
here.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
Jay's made the motion,
Second.
second by Daniel.
I knew you'd come around.
All in favor?
Two lawyers talking to each other.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against?
I make the motion.
I know, but the heck you was holding out on me. All right.
It'll be the first time.
Motion passes. Let's move on.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank y'all.
This is next one, the Valley Brook Part 1, Mike.
Morning.
Morning.
First item we have, Mr. President, is on Valley Brook subdivision Part 1. This is District 1 development. we're currently holding an LOC in the amount of $134,995.30. That LOC had some additional work, some grading and some things that we were requiring them to do at the final plat stage that they didn't have quite done yet. Those things are done now, so they're requesting to submit a revised letter of credit, taking those things off. So we're recommending acceptance of a revised LOC in the amount of $98,695 and release of the original LOC of $134,995.30.
A motion?
Second.
Okay, I made the motion. Jared seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved.
Second item is on Valley Brook Part 2. We're recommending approval of the final plat and acceptance of a letter of credit in the amount of $113,348. That's an additional 7 lots to Valley Brook. That'll finish it out. Last phase.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Jay, second by Brad. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item C, Mr. President, is on the Gunner Roads Improvements Phase 1. We're recommending approval of payout number 6 to Hemp Hill Construction Company, Inc. in the amount of $51,611.60 and authority to issue the check.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Jared, a second by Jay. Any other discussion?
Yeah. So what percentage are we complete in phase 1?
In Phase 1, monetarily, they're about 50%, a little less than 50% complete on it.
How much more time do we have?
The time, this payout is to the end of January. The calendar time ran out at the end of February. We've had a meeting with Hemp Hill. They're requesting additional time. They haven't submitted any paperwork on it yet. But they are obviously out of time calendar-wise.
Is that counting rain days?
Well, yeah, they're asking for, it's a calendar day contract, so, what they have to prove to us is that there's some, extenuating circumstance beyond what we would normally calculate in there.
Okay.
They haven't gotten to paving and things, so, a lot of the work was not big pay items. Once they start, into the bigger pay items, that'll catch up a little bit. I think, in my opinion, they're at like 1.3 now on a $3 million contract. I think they're a little bit ahead of that as far as the amount of labor that's been put into it. They just don't, the dollar amounts are not there in the pay items yet.
They way behind.
Correct.
So where the culverts are, there was slag or gravel. Did we go and asphalt the top of that or get them to asphalt it?
To the best of my knowledge, there's not been any.
No.
Did they?
They did? Okay.
Well, what they did, they really, and it's still rough, what they did is just something to cover those. Because what is a real dust problem because of the slag, you know? And so they just kind of put a cover over it. So it's still rough because you got slag, but it's a cover to settle that dust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
And keep the rock from moving too.
Yeah.
Right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Craig Slade.
Items A, B, and C, the first three items under my section, Mr. President, if we could have a motion to set public hearings for April 14, 9 a.m. for the matters that you see there on your agenda.
I'll make a motion to set A, B, and C for April the 14th.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, put A, B, and C together. Brad made motion, Jared seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Let's move on.
Mr. President, item D is to set a public hearing for May 1. This will be for the Verizon Wireless Conditional Use Permit application. This is District 1. Just need a motion to set.
I'll make a motion to set it.
Second.
All right, Brad makes a motion,
That's fine.
Jay seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Public hearings.
Mr. President, item E is a public hearing on the Christie Jones conditional use permit. This will be at 778 Highway 468. This is District 3 property. We'll open that public hearing. Ms. Jones is seeking a conditional use permit to operate a farmer's market at 778 Highway 468. This is a 1.38 acre parcel. It's zoned RE1A. Ms. Jones plans to sell fresh produce, hot sandwiches, bakery items, seasonal flowers, landscape products, animal feeds, and specialty needs, flash frozen products, propane, and crafts in an existing metal building. She also plans to sell ice that will be stored in a 16-foot by 16-foot ice house on the northwest side of the property. Structure will have, this ice structure will have 4 posts and a cover. The ice machine box where customers will get the bags of ice will look like the ones that are at convenience stores. The site plan shows a future 75 by 25 metal building on the east side of the property to be used for storage of pine straw. The driveway parking area as proposed will be a limestone material. All new structures will match the existing building in materials and color. If the conditional use permit is approved, Ms. Jones will move the existing home that is located on the property to the south side of Highway 468. The proposed hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The hearing notice was published in the newspaper and the property was posted. Community Development Office did not receive any phone calls in opposition on that matter. This time we will open that, that public hearing is already open, and I will ask for the applicant, Ms. Jones, or anyone representing Ms. Jones to come forward at this time to address any questions that the board may have. And then thereafter, gentlemen, we'll have an opportunity for anyone that's here in opposition on this matter to speak. We would encourage those who intend to address the board about this matter to please limit your discussion to the time frame that's already been discussed, and also let's try not to have any repetition of the same discussion. So, proponent.
Craig, some of these people, or most of these people, were not in here when we started.
Yes.
I don't know if they heard outside. We've got a lot to cover today. I want to get through this as quickly, but I want to cover it all as we can, because I don't want people that's behind you to have to go out. We got an executive session coming in, and when that happens, you have to leave and come back. And I don't want somebody to have to leave and wait an hour. I want to try to get through all of our agenda before the executive session. So let's keep it to the points. If what you're saying has already been said, you can stand up and say, I feel that same way, something of that nature. And we've got a list also that we'll look at. All right, go ahead.
Thank y'all for having me. This is my wife, Christy. I think most of you met Christy. We're here today, I'm assuming, to possibly address some opposition points of us putting the farmer's market in. And I want to tell all y'all, first off, I've never, ever imagined this application for conditional use turning into such a debatable, highly debatable issue. And if I've caused any impositions with anyone, it was not my intention, okay? All right, so basically what we're seeking is to put this farmer's market at 778 Highway 468. And we've already discussed what we're gonna sell. We've already discussed, and I think y'all are aware of the support that we have in the community. I would like to hand y'all, starting with Mr. Calhoun, because he's our supervisor, the petitions that we have had signed. And I do understand the concerns of my neighbors. And, the Dukes, most especially, they're right against our property, adjacent to our property. And I do want to respect them and their wishes to, help do something to kind of screen them from having another business in the area. And I will work with them if they would be willing to negotiate this, and I would work with them and be willing to put up a privacy fence, if you will, down along that line, if they would be willing to do it. Also, I understand that there has been some questions of traffic, and I do agree with the Highway 468. Been there my whole life, okay? And it didn't just start now. I know that the businesses have added to it, but In the 1980s, my father saved one of Mr. Torrance's son's life. He come down through that highway, off that hill. He flipped that car in the ditch, and my father saved his life, and they medevacked him out. And him and Mr. Torrance returned to my father's house some weeks later after he recovered. So traffic out there has been an issue for a long time. And it's gonna continue to be an issue because I'm not gonna be, if y'all allow this conditional use, I'm not gonna be the last person to put a business in that area. It's already predominantly business areas, okay? We have more business surrounding us than we do residents. And no one else is gonna come in and build a new home. There's not any land there left to build a new home, okay? So I understand the positions of the opposition, and I would love to refer to them, and I would love to try and, negotiate a truce, if you will, to make it, good for the whole community. And I think this is good for the whole community. There's not another farmer's market, within miles of this. Wright's Fruit Stand has just recently closed its doors, okay? And although some think that we are directly competing against the local grocery stores, it's not directly. We're selling a different type of item. Although it's produce, there's a difference between, and everybody here that's had a garden, there's a difference between commercially grown produce and fresh farm produce, okay? And we would just like a fair shake. And I ask y'all to make this decision based on your decisions and it not be a political decision. I understand that I have a background in this very room with you gentlemen, and I promise you I don't want any of that to factor into it. I am here on behalf of my wife. She has been with an attorney's firm for 26 years. She's getting ready to retire, and she has no retirement, okay? And I, as a husband and a father and a grandfather, I want to make sure that my wife has a means to make a living if something were to happen to me. And she's in agreement with that, and our family sticks together and works together. My kids help me with all my business. And, I just asked for a fair shake.
Johnny, I want to make a comment. I know here recently, we approved a business up the road on 468, and it was a Cadillac converter place where they were bringing scrap.
That's
It was the same thing. We did a conditional use, but we didn't have anyone opposing. And I mean,
In the beginning.
in the
We never had any opposition at all.
That's right.
And I mean, I understand, I think there's a lot of support for this farmer's market, but I got to look at how's it impacting the neighbors. And I mean, I can see it both ways, and I mean, Christy, I know you posted on Facebook and you got a lot of support, and people emailed me. And I mean, I responded to every email that was sent to me. And I asked them a question. I asked them would they want it beside their home, and I didn't ever get a response back from none. And I mean, I got to look at it. I know this board supports small businesses, and we need small businesses in our community, and I think this would be great for the community. But also, we got to support our residents out there. And
with that being said, Mr. Calhoun, as we speak, there's a new Family Dollar being built directly across from Allen's Grocery. Right down the street is another service station being built, okay? There was no opposition to this. And I'm not trying to be, negative or anything like that. I understand your point. I understand your point from the position you hold. I really do. I've been there, okay? Not in your position, but in a position, like it. And I understand that. But at the same time, when you have businesses in a circle, and they just haven't completed the circle in a predominant business area that's never gonna revert back to residents, you have to have a certain sense of, this is the direction it's going. Let's work with our neighbors and make, hopefully they'll understand at some point, this is the direction it's gonna go. At some point, their properties will be confronted with the option of being purchased for commercial use.
yeah, one day it's gonna be all commercial on both sides of the road. Right?
It's going to be. And we just, we're just trying to get ahead of the game. It's coming. We would like to open this business. I have a room full of supporters with me. There's no reason for them to get up. I think Mr. Stafford may have wanted to get up and maybe another, but I understand y'all restricted on time. I would just love to see the right thing done here. And if you think it would help to postpone the vote so that if Mr. and Ms. Dukes and Mr. and Ms. Roberts would be willing to go to the table with us to see if we can solve their concerns or negotiate their, so I'm not opposed to that.
I'd love that.
I'm not opposed to that,
When we
okay?
give them opportunity to come up and
Right.
speak and.
let them speak.
Because there's a lot of people that came here.
We'll see if there's some middle ground.
Are there any other questions that I can help
If
y'all
we
with?
do, we'll call you back.
We're good. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may, it may be helpful for us just to get a visual here. If you are here on behalf of the Jones or with the Jones to speak in support of their request, would you please raise your hand so the board can see? Okay, very good. Thank you. All right.
Okay, go the other way now.
Yeah,
Hey, flip the other way.
Okay, so if you're
there's
here to
other people
speak
in the room.
in opposition or to express a lack of support for this application, please raise your hand. Okay, very good. All right. Mr. President, if we can, at this time, we'll call for those to address the board or a spokesman on behalf
Let's
of
try
our group.
a spokesman, and if you have something specific that's different, then we'll allow you.
Yes, so let's have the spokesman for the opponents to the application. Please come forward this time. State your name and address for the record. Thank you.
James W. Roberts, 772 Highway 468. We, the residents of Highway 468, are opposed to the issuance of a conditional use permit for a business at 778 Highway 468, Brandon, Mississippi, 39042. All present businesses are located on the south side of Highway 468, with the sole exception of Allen's Grocery, which has been located at 766 Highway 468 since 1967. The north side of Highway 468 in this area slopes well below the south side of the highway here. You are almost on Highway 468 before you can see approaching traffic. The line of sight for oncoming traffic is very small in either directions. We've had many. Allen's is located at the top of the hill. Entrance to and from Highway 468 on either side of Allen's is very dangerous at all times, but especially morning, sun rising in the east, and evening, sun sets in the west. The proposed business is directly across from Rand's Sporting Goods, which has heavy traffic in and out all day. We have had many bad accidents on this part of the highway and don't need to make things worse. There are also numerous subdivisions that have already opened or are in the process of being built off Highway 468, as well as several new businesses. The increase in traffic is inevitable and will cause even more issues with the already struggling safety in the area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else that has?
I'd like to hear from Mr. Dukes, if the neighbor adjacent to, if you don't mind, Mr. President.
No, I was fixing to ask if there was anyone else that had something additional.
I'm the neighbor that's most involved in this, and it's gonna probably depreciate my house. But, I just asked each and one of you, if it was you living there, how would you feel about it, to think about it? And, I'm not gonna get into the traffic or the wreck issue, but, I'm really concerned and upset with Johnny not sharing this with us and the family. He didn't come to any of us to share this. Matter of fact, the sign stayed on the ground 90% of the time. And if I had not had a neighbor share with me this was happening, I couldn't be here today to even share this with you. So that's one thing that upsets me the most about it, but I'll make it quick and that's
Hey, Mr. Duke, let me ask you, I mean, is there any conditions besides putting a privacy fence up between his property and your property that you could see that you'd want more? I mean,
I can't think of anything else. I know that a fence would be nice, a privacy issue. But I'm just more concerned about my overall value of my house.
What is the value of your house done, let's just say, in the last 5 years? You don't know?
I'm not
You know,
prepared to
I'm
give you
pretty
that.
sure it's went up.
Yeah.
Even with some of these other businesses that are going in.
Yeah.
And why would you think a farmer, I mean, I don't foresee a lot of traffic at a mom and pop vegetable stand or.
Well, one problem, I don't mean to interrupt you, but one problem is, as you turn into Vans to the
Yes.
left, that driveway there will be to the right. And it just creates you can't even get out. Of course, I know that's part of living in that area, watching it grow, because when we moved out there, wasn't anything out there but van. I mean, the store up front.
The county is growing everywhere. And
I can understand that.
we don't have the authority to control the population. We do try to direct it in a way that it's better than what it was when they found it. I'm sure this board is gonna make the right decision. It may be split. And I'm gonna tell y'all this. It would be best if y'all could go outside, take however long you want. You can come in after the executive session if you want to, or you can come back at the next meeting and we'll table it. Y'all are the ones that have control, both sides. Work it out. Don't make us.
Civilly,
Don't make, don't get in a fight out there now. But y'all work it out to where we don't, if we do it, one or the other,
somebody's gonna be mad
and
at the
you
end
are
of the
not
day.
gonna get, even one side or the other, you may not get the conditions that you would have gotten out there.
And
Okay?
We-
Will you consider that?
We can put conditions
Please.
on it, and we can put conditions that y'all think could,
Benefit
could
everybody.
benefit everybody.
With that said, how can I know for sure those restrictions will be held up?
Oh,
Well, the permit will be conditioned upon compliance with all of those requirements.
right,
If
whatever they may
those
be.
requirements are not met, the permit is
Take
withdrawn.
personalities out, take all that out, and try to make something good come out of a situation that you're not happy about, okay?
And at the end-
Please.
I guess try to put it kinda like if it was reversed and you were wanting to do this, and say Johnny didn't wanna do it, or others, some of the others. But I mean, that you could get something worked out, and I think, I'm gonna tell you, we've had a situation here once before, and similar to what we're talking about. And I didn't think they'd get it worked out, and the guy that was wanting to do it, and the negative was over here. Man, he accommodated whatever he could do, and now the whole neighborhood and the community is happy and fine. Everybody got a little bit of what they wanted out of it, and that was the way we like to see it work. So try to take some personalities out, and that's what he was able to do, and the neighbors were able to do, because they've been living just like y'all together all these years.
And Mr. Duke, I'm gonna say this. I know one of the neighbors even made a comment that could they go ahead and get their property rezoned commercial? And to me, I think commercial property would be, and have a lifetime estate there, and I think we can do that. And that would make that property where your house is, if you wanted to do that, have a lifetime estate there. And I mean, that way, something ever happens to you, family or kids, you wouldn't have to worry, unless they wanted to live there, it might be a problem. But now if your house burned down between, I don't know.
That's something else.
I mean, it's one of them deals that I know y'all's position on it, and I know I'd love for y'all to go out and just see if there's any way that y'all could work this out, so we don't have to make a decision. And if y'all can't, we'll just have to make our decision, and somebody's gonna be upset about it.
It's a no-win, but y'all are the ones that could make it be a win-win for everybody. And the conditions, if you're worried about the conditions,
You draw them
You
up.
don't need to worry
And
about
agree
them.
on them.
What we put on, what we put there is, will be enforced.
All right, thank you. Will y'all consider that?
Yes, I would. I'd like to rebut real quick if I may. That way it's
Well-
on the record, that way Mr. Dukes and them.
But we just want y'all to get something worked out.
Hang on, Johnny, let him get finished.
I think he's done.
You through?
Thank you, sir.
As far as the highway entrances, I do understand the, concern there. And I think everybody here knows my capabilities with construction. I do have intentions of taking both driveways out completely and going through MDOT and putting in the proper driveway, reducing the grade coming up out of the property, okay? Tapering that grade down, putting a solid surface grade at the highways like it is now. I had to put those solid surface grades there when my kids became old enough to drive, simply because I didn't want them spinning in the gravel and getting hit trying to pull out a driveway. So I do understand the concern, and I will work with them in any way I can to do that. Second, as far as the privacy fence, if that will give him a little peace and rest, I will put up an 8-foot privacy fence all the way down the property line to screen
All the
that
way
from him.
around?
Yes, sir. All the way down the east property line
I'm
to
talking about
separate.
all the way to separate, well,
Well, we've got a screen, a natural screen, which is a drainage tributary to our west, so.
It is a creek that runs down there. It's
Right,
got trees on it.
so it's gonna be hard to put a fence down through there because the water comes down through there, and either way. Second, I need them to understand with you mentioning commercial use. If they zone their property commercial, and they did do a life estate on the property as a residence, okay? The property's only gonna be taxed as it's used. It's not gonna be taxed commercial, okay?
That's right.
Look, I just want them to understand that.
that he is right there. It's right.
That's
And
right.
Make sure that.
Your taxes aren't gonna change if it's rezoned to commercial.
And I spoke with MDOT, and MDOT says there's not an issue down there, but, I mean, an issue concerning MDOT on entrance and exit.
Thank
He's
y'all
got
for your
plenty of room.
time.
All right,
We
thank
got,
you.
we got one more that,
Craig. Do what?
well, I thought,
We got one more.
Miss Maxine raised her hand.
Huh?
So, gentlemen, we stand really at a point of indecision at this point, trying to figure out what's the
Well,
best approach.
we can vote on it right
I think
now,
They need to work it out.
but I'd rather
Work it
y'all
out.
go outside and try to work it out. You tell me.
I'd like for y'all to, all 5 of you, to go out there and look at the area.
We have.
And
Yes, ma'am.
And whatever it is that he's trying to build. And I want a fence on the north side, if you approve this,
Mhm.
because that's gonna be our property.
That's what I was saying.
It's Miss Nichols' property, my sister.
That's what I was saying. It need to be one.
Well, do y'all want to, I mean, that's something
Can
you
y'all
can
go
talk with
outside
him about,
and get those,
if you want.
and then
Brian,
come
you
back
might wanna
in?
go with them.
So, gentlemen, what appears is happening now, what we're going to do is we're gonna pass over this item on the agenda momentarily, all right? If at some point it becomes clear that additional time, I want everybody to hear this, if it becomes clear while these deliberations are occurring out in the hall, if it becomes clear that, the parties need additional time beyond the time frame we have today for our meeting, then I need the applicant to come forward and request that the board table consideration
To the 15th.
until we have our next board meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, y'all understand? All right,
All right, so I need
The
a,
Go to work.
14th, it would be on the
Yep.
14th, it would be the next.
14.
Good.
All right, y'all go to,
Y'all go out there and look at it.
we have, ma'am, all of us have been out there.
I pass.
I've
We-
got to
All
go.
of us need to go out or just-
I've got to go. I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna go. I haven't seen it.
you
Mr.
want
Cross
to
is the
just
only one that hasn't seen
Yeah,
it,
I'm gonna
and he's
go
gonna
look
go
at
and
it.
look at it, but
Hey,
we can't
let
do
us,
it right now.
I didn't realize the controversy that was here over the issue.
Let's do this.
So I need to go look at it.
Let's
myself.
just do this. Cross wants to go look at it. Y'all try to work it out between now and the 14th. If not, we're gonna have it. We're gonna table it to the 14th, and we'll be in here and we'll make a decision on that day.
so Mr.
With
Gaines
conditions.
has made a motion to table consideration of this matter
Is that,
until April the 14th,
Johnny
9 o'clock.
is, okay.
All right.
I make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, Brad seconds. Any other discussion? That's from this bench back. All in favor? Any opposed? We're tabling it to the 14th.
Yes. So what that means, Mr. President, is everybody who's attending here today, applicant, those who are opposed, they are on public notice that the consideration of this matter will occur on April the 14th at 9 a.m. There will be no further notice from this board concerning the reconsideration of this matter.
All right.
Thank you.
On this petition up here, do we need to put that in the record, or Johnny, do you want to take it back? or-
We've got a couple of
Well,
sign-in
We got
sheets.
that
Signatures.
seven up there, too,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yep. All right,
Mr. President, the record will reflect that a petition presented by the applicant is being received into the record of this hearing this
Oh,
morning.
and here's one for the opposition, I think.
Yeah.
That matter is
Right.
also being received in the record.
Thank you all for coming.
Yes.
Thank
Please
y'all
see
for
that
your
y'all get
time.
Something worked out.
all right, we have an additional matter under public hearing, Craig. Item F.
Item F, yes, sir. So we're moving forward. This will be a public hearing on the Michael Brooks rezoning request at Stump Ridge Road. This is a District 4 property. That hearing is open. Mr. Brooks is seeking to rezone 147.79 acres on Stump Ridge Road from A1 to RE1. Our zoning context, A1, does not allow for a development of a subdivision. Approximately 85 acres will be developed into Freedom Ridge Part 5. The preliminary plat shows 23 lots with an average lot size of 3.50 acres. The plat also shows a 100-foot buffer, vegetative buffer, around the perimeter of the property. Homes will be a minimum of 2,800 square feet. That's heated and cooled. The remaining 62.4 acres is to be reserved by the developer as a house site. Let me repeat that. The remaining 62.4 acres will be reserved by the developer as a house site. The developer does have intentions to potentially divide the 62.4 acres between members of the developer's immediate family. Preliminary plat has been revised to label the 62.4 acres as future development. A notice of hearing has been published in the newspaper. The property has been posted. The Office of Community Development did not receive any calls in opposition. So that hearing is open. I will ask, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the Michael Brooks rezoning request? Anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter? Yes. All right. If you'll come forward, please, state your name and address for the record.
So I was designated, since our guy couldn't make it today. So.
Uh-oh, you
Your
draw
name
the
and,
short straw.
Here we
name and
go.
address.
Jonathan Chappell, I'm at 333 Stump Ridge Road. Mr. Calhoun, I'm gonna bring up the fact that you said how this impacts the neighbors to the previous one. That's why we're here. We feel like this impacts us greatly. This is the third time this application has been filed. We've been here before. Matter of fact, the board told us last time we were here that y'all were gonna come up with some kind of game plan to address the infrastructure and the woes that we're having out there already. It's kind of a running joke. I text this man back here to ask him and his kids to get out of the shower so we can get the shower across the street because the pressure is so low out there. So,
Do you know that we had it tested?
have you come over to my house to shower? I
Well,
mean, it's-
that's between your meter and your house. You need to talk to your builder.
Okay. Well, you know,
The
I'm just stating
you're-
it's
You're
throughout.
at the top.
Okay.
You're at 79 pounds. The top is 80. They can't put more pressure. Your
It's
problem.
an 8-inch line, I was told. Is that right?
That's right. He paid that. He
Okay.
bought and put it in for you.
Understood.
160-something thousand.
As he told us when we were buying the lots, he
The
was gonna
Water
provide.
Association, I'm talking, the Water Association tested it themselves and made the statement, they're at the top.
Okay.
And if you're having problems, you need to talk to your builder.
Okay.
So that's out.
Okay.
Now, I don't remember 3 applications for this, so try to go to facts, okay? This is a second application.
The first one was, we didn't even come here. It was withdrawn before we even got here.
Okay.
And then last time, 4 months ago,
The-
we still got up and spoke. but it was withdrawn.
It was,
and-
it's been two. Okay.
This will be the third.
This is the second one.
This is the second.
This is the second one.
June 21st, was the first one? Yes, sir.
This is a continuance of the second one.
Okay. Currently, there are over 100 lots already out there getting ready to be built on. So our
What's
concern
the
is,
smallest? What are they averaging?
2 acres.
They're averaging 2 acres?
That's the smallest one. I
Yeah,
think so.
I don't think there's a 2 acre one. It may be 2.8 or something.
I live on a 2 acre.
Exactly 2 acres. You must have got, one that was in a corner. But they average probably 4, 5, because some of them are 7 and 8, especially in.
Yeah, they're different sizes.
So when you say there's 100, you're talking about a big span of land, aren't you?
So, well, the DQ has recently shut down the developer up the road where he's got several lots. And then all throughout the road, there are lots ready to be built on. So if
What
you
is
add
the
them up-
matter? Is it about this subdivision? Maybe you said DEQ or DQ?
We were told DEQ shut down what they're doing
We-
already.
What,
Those that are opposing this, it's kind of, people talk. So we've heard that he
it
can't,
doesn't, Tim, does that have anything to do with our subdivision that we're looking at?
I'm not aware of any DEQ shutdown. Now, there's a section that he's in the construction plans phase on. I think it's phase 4 of, I don't remember which one it is. But I haven't,
Okay.
DEQ hasn't contacted us
Okay.
in the county about it.
Well, I go depend on you, because you
Sure.
put all right, let's carry on, but
Absolutely.
try to stick to facts.
I do want to show you, we got 27 signatures here that, anybody that we asked about this.
Let me ask you this, how long have you lived there?
I bought my property in 2017.
In 17?
Yes, sir.
And you moved from somewhere else out there?
I moved from.
Just like all the rest of them on there probably.
Absolutely.
But you don't want somebody else to have that same right.
No, that's not the concern. What we're worried about
What's your
is.
concern?
Well, my
You
kids.
said the water.
Well, the water,
Well,
infrastructure, the
That
school.
has nothing to do with the water. I've already.
My school.
Okay.
Our school is
Well,
busting
you're
at
at
the
the
seams
wrong
right now.
office. The school district has
Sir, you're
their
asking
own
me what I
board.
was opposing,
Okay.
I'm trying to
well,
tell you.
I work with them, but we only give them advice as to what our growth looks like.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right. The school is issued, there's portables now being brought in. People want to be out there, as well as I do. I know you live out there. I mean, the same way if I was
You know,
to.
whenever I bought and some land come up available, I didn't try to tell people what they could do with their land.
So we're
I
not
bought
trying to
it.
tell anybody what they can do with their land.
What do
We're
you
trying
tell
to-
him to do?
We're trying
You
to
tell him
give
what
you-
he can't do, right?
We're trying to show you our opposition that,
Okay.
as a
All right,
as a
keep
neighbor,
going. Let's
we
keep going.
don't want this. I mean, if we can't
Your
stand up and
time
say
is running
that-
out, so
Okay.
keep going.
So, this is where we're at. This is the only option we have to stand up and say anything about it, okay? That's why we're here.
The school board has a room. That's a big problem for you, right? Have you been to them?
I've talked to administrators at the school. They don't want to go on
The
record here.
administrators at the school, you know they're not gonna be able to.
Obviously, you're gonna be against me the whole way, so I don't know that anything else I can say.
Sounds to me like you're against me.
Sir,
Work with us. We're
I
trying to
understand
work
you
with
and I
you.
have our differences. That's understood.
Well,
I can.
okay, well, keep going.
And that's not something I need to
I'm
bring up at the
gonna,
moment.
hey, if
I'm
you-
just asking
If
that-
you will keep going, you can stand there, but if you keep on this, you're gonna have to sit down, okay?
I got it. I guess the next question is, how many times can you apply for a permit and then withdraw it?
We make that decision.
Okay, that was just an open-ended question I was asking.
We don't have a number on that.
So, and I guess anybody else with me have anything?
Please, if you have a comment,
I mean, the big deal is the water, and the Water Association is
Well, it's water,
addressing
dirt
it.
mining. I mean, there's so many things that we've been told so many different things. We just kind of want to see what's going on. I mean, we as a community, this is our community, this is our people, and we oppose it. I don't find anybody out there other than one person. We're asking you to put people over profits right now. I mean, that's why we're here. We had many people show up before. It's just, today's the first of the month, it's the first of the quarter, some people couldn't make it.
I understand.
And so, we got what we got, and this is where we're at.
Okay. All right.
That's what he gave us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Will you state your name, please?
Yes, I'm Gina Obery, and I live at 323 Stumpbridge. And I will say that I've never spoken in a venue like this before. I have not been exposed to this type of environment before. I have learned a lot since I moved out on Stumpbridge. So if I misspeak, it's not because I'm trying to deceive anyone or say anything that's not a fact, Mr. Gaines. I am telling you my personal experiences.
Good, thank you,
Okay?
thank you.
Everything that Mr. Chappell stated is true. Everything that he said is a concern of all of us, okay? I am speaking because when we moved out there was nothing out there. We rode our four-wheeler all through the woods back there while we decided where we wanted to live. Mr. Brooks came out there, and I noticed he's not here today. I hope he's out in the parking lot listening, because this is truly directed to him, okay? We rode our four-wheeler through those woods. We were looking for a place to live. We were looking for a quiet place. We were looking for a place that our grandchildren could live, a safe place, but also a community. Mr. Brooks came out there, and he and I walked those woods. That was my first meeting with Mr. Brooks. I explained to him what we were looking for. We just happened on the property. We didn't even know it was back there. We would just take Sunday afternoons and ride and look. Mr. Brooks came out there, and he walked, and we talked, and we walked, and we talked. I explained to him what we were looking for. He told me that that was also his dream for that place out there. A community, a quiet community, not one with houses all around, not one with lots of traffic, but where neighbors had privacy and peace, but they also knew their neighbors. We talked about it some more. Mr. Brooks' words to me that day was, "Miss Gina, I have prayed over this property, and I know what the Lord wants it to be. And it's to be exactly what you're looking for." And I said, "Michael, I don't know you, and you don't know me, but I take a man at his word until I have the opportunity where I can't take him at his word anymore." We sat on the back of the four-wheeler that day and made a deal for our property and signed a contract with Mr. Brooks based on his word, okay? So, if Mr. Brooks is listening in his pursuit of wealth and everything else he's looking for, I hope he is reminded of the people that helped him start. We were his very first. We were the first house out there. And we love our neighbors. We love our community. We do not love the fact that Mr. Brooks ended up not being a man of his word. And that was not the only time. As Mr. Chappell said, there were several instances as we were building our house. My husband is a business owner, and he kind of had a soft spot for Mr. Brooks because he didn't know what he was doing when he was developing out there. And my husband did, and he gave Mr. Brooks advice several times on a better way to do things, which profited Mr. Brooks. We ended up paying more than what we were told, but again, we knew he didn't really know what he was doing, and we were helping him. So we didn't mind that. I do mind being lied to. I do mind. I have my grandchildren out there that like to ride up and down Stump Ridge. I do not want my grandchildren playing chicken with dump trucks. I do not want dirt being mined across the street from me, and that is what he's famous for. He buys those plots, and then he mines dirt for 2 years. I don't want the damage to my vehicles again. I don't want his dump trucks turned over on their side again, as they did on Hollybush, because they go so fast up and down Hollybush that they turn over. And that has happened. That is a fact. I saw it. Everything I'm speaking to, I have personally seen and witnessed. I have had the conversation. Mr. Brooks is not a man of his word, and I hope he's listening. All I'm asking is that he honor what we were told out there. Now, Mr. Gaines, you may not remember this, but you and I have had 3 conversations about this issue. We did the last time when this room was full of Stump Ridge residents, and we did twice the last 2 times. This has been before the board 3 times.
The last
Okay,
one was
just
a
a minute, please let me
continuation.
finish.
Yes,
Please
ma'am.
let me
Go ahead.
finish. Each time I called you and I expressed my concerns, I didn't know you. I had, like I said, this is all new to me. I had to figure out who I needed to speak to, and it was you. And I've called you, and we have had many conversations. Sitting in here listening, I'm not real sure our conversations are playing out the way that I was led to believe. You said, and these are your words to me, as long as I sit in this chair, Michael Brooks will not develop back there. The infrastructure cannot maintain maintain it. That is what you said to me. Yes, sir, it is. I went,
wish I'd
excuse
known
me.
that. We wouldn't have blacktopped all them roads.
Yeah, we
you
have-
know.
I understand that.
I'd
I'm
like
just
to pull that up.
repeating
Yeah.
what I was told.
Okay, okay.
All right.
We discussed the water, we discussed the schools, we discussed the safety issues, and I am up here
I'm sure.
to finish saying, nobody on Stump Ridge has any confidence in Michael Brooks's word. And whatever personal issues there are playing around, my husband and I mind our own business. We live on our property, and we spend time with our grandchildren and our children. And that's why we're out there. And all I'm asking is, the same consideration that y'all gave the people before us, when you wanted to know what the impact on the neighbors were going to be, we will be greatly impacted. And that is not the reason we moved out there. And I would like full consideration to be given to this. And the last time we were here, the promise was he would not be granted a permit until a complete plan was in place. And I have not seen that plan. Yesterday, with my grandsons, who are 1 and 3, if you're interested, we were out riding the four-wheeler, and there is work being done out there. Now, I don't know if that's Michael or who it is, but land is being cleared, and there's a road that has been bulldozed through there. And I would like to know, is that Michael Brooks already working before he has the proper permits, as he did out on Stoll?
I don't think he has to have a permit to clear and grub.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your time. Mr. President, I don't know if anybody else is here to speak in opposition or not on this matter. We would probably need to know that before we move forward. Let me walk y'all through what we're here trying to do. Anybody else gonna speak? Okay. Mr. President, when we consider, this is a rezoning request, and so that some of the issues that have been addressed here, matters of infrastructure, impact on neighboring communities, while there is some aspect of that that is considered as a part of a rezoning request, that's not the primary focus of a rezoning request. Your focus is very narrowly tailored in a rezoning request. I think some of the complaints about infrastructure, impact on infrastructure, those are issues that will be addressed if the board moves forward to rezone the property. Okay? So if that happens, then we move into the next part of this, which is the submission of all of your construction documentation. Your preliminary plat will be before you after this, and there will be a discussion from the engineer about what sorts of considerations are being undertaken at the county level to make sure that the development is developed properly and in conformity with the existing residential community that's there, okay? So some of this, we're talking about the same thing, but we need to separate these issues and focus first on whether or not there will be a rezoning of the property. Because everything hinges on that. Let me add at this point, Rankin County does not have a permit requirement to do clearing and grubbing on property. Mr. Brooks can spend all manner of money, time, effort, energy, equipment, labor, et cetera, et cetera. He can undertake all of that, but the understanding is if he doesn't get rezoned, he's just sunk a lot of money into property that's gone, okay? So he'll have to use the property in conformity with the zoning that is on the property, and if it stays agricultural, that would have been an awful lot of work for him to do. So that he has done all of that at his risk. He's not required to get a permit to do that clearing and grubbing activity. All right? So let's talk about a rezoning request. Gentlemen, it's pretty simple. In order to grant a rezoning of property, this board needs to make a specific finding on the record that conforms with one of the two options that are available to the board. Number one, you can find that there was a mistake in the original zoning. That is, the property should have never been classified or zoned as ag property in the beginning of the development of the county zoning ordinance. We're not going to be able to, no one has presented that. The applicant himself has not asserted that. That is not a basis for you to conduct your rezoning. And so that one option to rezone is not even on the table. It was zoned properly when it was owned, ag. which leads to the next point. Then, in order to rezone the property, you need to find two things. One, that there has been a change in the character of the neighborhood over time to justify the rezoning, and there is a demonstrated need for the classification in that area that you are being asked to move it to. So if you find that there has been a change in the character of the neighborhood, well, you've heard from individuals who are telling you that they moved to the area to establish their residence. So clearly this is not and hasn't been ag-based property use for some time. We have ag in other areas of the county, including this county, this part of the county, but it has changed over time to residential.
Where they live at now,
That's
it's already
correct.
zoned RE1.
It was rezoned to RE1. Why? Because there was and is a demonstrated need for this type of residential stock in the county. People want to live in this community. There is demand for residential housing stock in this community. How do I know this? Because we get pummeled with requests for subdivision development in this very area. Stoll, Stump Ridge, all of it is transforming from ag to residential. We can't stop that. It's exactly what has happened. By the way, having a safe community like we have, having good schools like we have, is a powerful draw. Powerful. And families are wanting to move to this area. Why should there be discussions with the school district? Fantastic and valid point. Because the school district needs to be getting their ducks in a row about how not to lose the quality that we have at a Pisgah, the quality that we have at a Puckett, at a Pelahatchie, the draws that they are. If they don't get on top of that and start making plans and arrangements now, we're gonna lose that as a draw. That's why it's so important. So to Steve's point, those conversations need to take place in the school district, desperately. So what the board is being asked to do today, and the applicant has requested be done, recognize that there has been a change in the character of the neighborhood that would justify the rezoning, and recognize correspondingly that there is, in fact, a demand for additional residential development of this kind. The one thing about the proposal that's before you is this. One of the primary issues that was brought up previously when this was discussed was that there is inadequate water pressure serving this community. Water Association that has a certificate over this area was consulted directly, and in writing, that Water Association has said our tests show that there is adequate pressure. They went further. To the extent that this board chooses to rezone the property and move forward with a permit to construct this subdivision, we will serve those 23 additional houses. This is what they put in writing. I think the issue of the water piece has been addressed. I do want to say this. This is from my observation. We have issues with the way that construction traffic operates in this area. We have issues. You know what they are? High speed, overloaded, and dismissive of the impact that that activity has on county infrastructure. I think we should affirm and admit that there are things that we can do to better control that construction activity so that the impact on the existing residents is lessened. That would be my hope, that we could do that. So I do at least want to acknowledge that we see that, we know that, and we have had a number of communications about that very thing. We have invested heavily in the infrastructure in that area, specifically roads and ditches, and to some degree, Steve, stormwater and stormwater management. I'm reminded that we have ARPA projects right now that are in the process of being finalized so that we can get on top of some of the stormwater challenges that we know are in that area, right?
Yes.
And so the county is doing what it needs to do as it relates to stormwater. And that leads to this final point that I want to make before you guys are, I'm going to turn it over to you and let y'all make a decision. It's this. When we say things like, for instance, there's not going to be a permit issued until we know what the infrastructure impact is, until we know what the situation is, that is not a forever and always. It never has been. We always evaluate these things on a timeline. What we say is we're not going to allow that continuation of that activity until we know, we have a better idea about what the impact is going to be. But when we're satisfied that the infrastructure has reached a point that we can let the activity move forward, we're going to let the activity move forward. It won't just stop. It doesn't just end. And so I think that's kind of the balance point that we are at. Is the board satisfied before it rezones the property, before it considers whether to rezone the property? Is the board satisfied that our infrastructure has reached a state where we can say, let's move forward. Let's move forward with development. This is a 23 lot development with a 100-foot buffer around the lots where they border and touch adjacent properties. That's significant. That is a significant request and requirement that this board made of the developer. If you're going to develop these lots, make sure your neighbors are not impacted visually. Keep your vegetative buffer around all of those lots. He's going to be required to develop the streets that access this, which are off of Stump Ridge. He's going to be required to develop those streets in accordance with our requirements. Those are going to be county-level public roads, which means he's got to do all the ditching, he's got to do all the base work, he's got to do all of the requirements for collateral. It's no different than any other subdivision development that you can find. Okay?
What would create the water, if there is a water issue, and it sounds like maybe, what else could create that? I mean.
The pressure.
The pressure.
I'm gonna say that it might be too small of a pipe from the meter to the house, or.
I'm just curious what could have created that. Obviously, there may be some pressure, but it doesn't sound like it's a water company, so I'm just wondering.
Cause if they testing the pressure, they testing it on their side of the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it could be just
I mean,
not
I
sufficient.
don't either, I'm just wondering if it's.
I know what the Water Association reported.
Okay. Yes, gentlemen, that's all. At this point, y'all can take up the matter. It's time, it's appropriate. We're gonna close the public hearing, but this time it's appropriate to take action.
I want to make a statement. When this development started, I don't know what conversations were had between the developer and individuals. However, I do know that we, as Board of Supervisors, the fiber companies, the utilities, an 8-inch line, things like that would never have been planned for just the first set of houses, for the first few houses. If you I don't have fiber. A lot of people in our part of the county don't have fiber, but you do. They ran it because of the development. Before y'all, or when you built, those were gravel and dirt roads. And if you think they're dangerous, you remember back when log trucks, 100 a day or more, was flying up and down those roads. The reason was because the timber companies had decided they were no longer going to be in the timber business. They were not going to replant out there. They were selling for development. I wanted to make the best situation I can make out of this. This was cut over land. I wanted, And Jonathan, I see you do have a 2-acre lot. I'm sorry, it's one on the front. There was 2 or 3 that kind of were, not corners, but in a bend. But large lots, minimum square footage, things that would build a nice community. We have rode this developer pretty hard, and needed to. We've got blacktop roads, and I've seen a couple of breaks that we're gonna fix. I mean, where it's decayed. We're holding many thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars as insurance for him to build your roads. The school situation. 7 years ago, 6 years ago, whenever they were doing the bond to build schools, I got involved. They had somebody to do an audit or statistical data of what the growth of Pisgah would look like in 12 years. And it showed a -3%. And I said, no way, that's impossible. I went and met with Sue Townsend. She said, no, that's these people are accurate. They do it all over the country. So I had a company that had an office in Virginia. That's what they specialize in, predicting the growth. They run a report. Found an area that was almost identical to Rankin County. It was a county with some cities in it similar to ours. It joined the capital of that whatever other state. It had the airport. They did the data. The statistical data showed that Pisgah would grow 18-point-something%. I took it to the board, the school board, and I said, look, this is more accurate. This is more accurate, please. They said, no, we can't use that. We're gonna go with ours. And we don't build for the future.
The future.
I'm trying. I don't work for the school board. I want to keep our community quaint. I know, I understand. But at the same time, it's America. I've got to go by the laws. And y'all are sitting there not realizing what the laws and the regulations and things are that we have to regulate. I mean, when they come to us, we get most of our stuff from Central Mississippi Planning and Development, which is a state-funded deal that, anyhow, I'm getting way off in the weeds. I think that every one of y'all are happy with the value and the hometown feel. That's what I want too. But we're not the only ones that want it. All I can do is put parameters on it to keep that tight atmosphere. I can't stop it. I can't tell a man he can't. I mean, what if I told you you can't sell your house? And I don't think it's any of y'all, but I've had 3 people that's your neighbors over the last 5 years to come to me and want to run their driveway to the back and hit into some other land and develop it. And I wouldn't let them because you're not going to use your driveway to put in some more houses. You're going to have to do it proper. And I explained, you'll build an asphalt road and it'll be, and they go, oh no, I'm not doing that. Well, that's what this guy's doing. But 3 of your neighbors that have been on petitions asked to do the same thing, except they were going to do gravel roads and behind your houses, right behind. I told Michael Brooks, you're going to do a buffer. He gave up 100 foot for a green buffer between the backs of somebody. I don't know if any of y'all are on that side of the road or not, but he gave up a 100-foot buffer that'll be part of the subdivision that's between y'all. And if most of those lots are long and deep and it's loaded, you can put another 50 or 100 if you really don't want to hear them and see them. That'd be a real buffer. please understand, I want the same things you want. It's just that other people are pushing and they want that. I'm gonna tell you this, Holly Bush Road, there's one very strong man that has 2,000 acres. I don't know what he's gonna do, but it's coming. I don't know when, it's coming. If you help me control it instead of fighting it, we can do a lot. And Jonathan, I apologize for my attitude, okay? I'm sorry. Sometimes I get passionate.
Where we want to table this, because we feel like there's so many out there already waiting to be done. We realize this is gonna happen, okay? There's not a person here that doesn't realize that. What we're asking is, let's push this down the road. We're not ready yet. Let's get what's already out there finished up before this starts. I mean, that's something that we kind of are asking.
Well,
We know that it's gonna happen. We know we can't stop.
We did push it, you know.
It's been all Stockbridge or Storm, and there's one that now that's being developed that is actually a subdivision, and there hasn't been any asphalt, dirt work's been done, but it's been 6 months to a year.
We would like to see
See
things
that
be
being
done
more developed.
orderly. None of us are naive enough to think that there will not be houses back there. We are not that naive.
Well, I think y'all,
And we don't want, we certainly are not.
This is the
trying to
rezoning,
keep
Steve.
it.
Okay.
We would like it to be done.
This is not the development plan, but y'all are talking about will be another step that we have to take.
This is
This
just
re- this is
rezoning.
this is just
We're not
re-
approving
this
any
is-
houses
This
right
is just
this moment.
rezoning.
Mr. President, I'm ready to move forward. We got a,
right.
meeting
Okay,
10:30.
oh Lord, we are already 3 minutes late.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the rezoning.
Motion to approve the rezoning.
Rezoning only.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Brad, second. Jay made the motion. Brad seconded. All in favor? Aye.
No.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Have 1 nay and 4 approve. Motion passes. Thank you. And I promise you I'll work with you.
Mr. President, I'd like to request that we move item G under my section to the April 14 to the April 14 agenda. Can you tell I'm hungry? To the April 14 agenda. We don't need a motion on that. That's simply a notification. That matter will come up on the 14th of April.
Okay.
Item H, Mr. President, well, I really am fried now for some reason. If we can, before we consider going into executive session, Mr. President, I'd like to take item H and let's dispense with item H before we enter into executive, if that is the president's prerogative.
Sure.
Can we do that? Item H is a discussion of and potential action regarding a prior conditional use permit that has been issued to Rehoboth Farms LLC. This is for the medical cannabis grow facility that is in District 4. And so we will open that item for consideration. The representatives of Rehoboth Farms LLC, I believe, are here today. And so, Mr. President, the issue before the board has to do with the prior issued conditional use permit that this board granted with respect to that facility. As the board knows, there is a dual regulation over medical cannabis facilities. One level of regulation is at the state level through the State Department of Health. The State Department of Health has communicated with Rankin County concerning the status of this particular facility and their regulation of the facility. At last word from the State Department of Health concerning this facility, there was a provisional permit that had been issued by the state, but they had asked the permit holder to provide additional information concerning the facility. And so I'm requesting that the representatives of Rehoboth Farms LLC advise the board concerning the current status of the facility with respect to the State Department of Health. By the way, we asked the State Department of Health to appear both at the prior meeting and at this meeting, and they declined our invitation to be here.
That's because they're not allowed to. What you said is a little bit inaccurate. Before we get started, if you could tell Angie that a medical cannabis growing facility has become less controversial than a farmer's market in a subdivision, I would appreciate that. So.
I'm gonna appreciate you addressing the board and not individual supervisors, okay?
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll just shut this down right now.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah,
But
pretty offensive.
first
It's
of
offensive
all.
to me as legal counsel, it's offensive to me. I'm not
Okay.
gonna suggest anything to you other than this.
All right.
If you're gonna appear before my board, you're gonna do it with respect.
And I mean to, but it's not your board, it's my board.
You're running out of time, sir.
Okay, all right. So first of all, I don't have a permit from the state. I have a license from the state. You cannot find a provisional license anywhere in the state law or the state regs. It's something that the medical department has done internally. I have a medical cannabis license. That you can verify. All right. So the way the process works is that nobody gets a license when they apply. What they do is they issue a license that has a 4-month expiration date on it, as opposed to the 12-month expiration date. It stays in that condition until they come out and do an initial inspection.
You know, I think we're gonna help you real quick here.
Okay.
We saw pictures of your building. It's not at all what, in my mind, was supposed to be.
Okay.
It's inadequate for what we want, so that's why we're
Well-
gonna withdraw your application. Or
There was,
deny or-
we were misled a little bit in
No,
the
no,
distance
no, sir,
from
you
your
were
house.
not. You were
Hey,
mis-
I'm talking, okay?
Okay, all right.
You can't act appropriately now, you
Okay,
don't sit down.
I'm sorry. All right, so.
It's more than 1,000 foot. I mean, we want it more than 1,000 foot from your door to somebody else's. I don't know what, you're gonna say the state this or that, this is Rankin County, okay?
Okay.
And it's, way less than that. And then, like Jay said, the building, I don't know what other people like, and we don't like that building to grow marijuana.
Okay.
Now then, I don't know there's anything else to say. We just explained to you, and we'll take a vote.
You can take a vote, okay?
I know we can.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, but don't tell me what we're gonna do.
I'm not trying to.
Okay, go ahead.
I watched the video.
Yeah.
On YouTube of last week.
Yeah.
And there was 2 truthful things said. One is that the county cannot regulate this industry, that the state has to. That was a true statement.
Okay.
We can regulate on what.
On zoning.
On zoning and what type of facility we can allow to be grown in.
Well, I don't know.
Because we don't even have to give you a building permit.
I understand.
Because if we don't have a say in it, there's no reason for you to be here, right? So obviously, if you're standing here, this board can make that decision.
Okay.
So lectured by you, I'm not
I'm
fixing to
not
listen
trying
to
to
it.
lecture.
Well, it appears to be that way. So
I'm not trying to lecture, okay? I can only have one master, okay? I can only have one regulatory body. So the sheriff department's here. One of the insinuation that was made last week that I got from watching this is that I'm growing marijuana out there without a license. That makes me a felony. The only reason I can do what I'm doing is because I'm under the protection of the state law. And I have to maintain that, or your sheriff's department comes and gets me.
Yes, sir. Well, they told us last week that you're a growing product and you did have a temporary license, but there was something going on. But let me tell you, we
Okay.
saw the building. The building is inadequate for what we want to be growing marijuana in Rankin County. So.
I'm not-
If you want to do that, you're gonna either build a new building or either upgrade the one you have.
Well,
Okay.
it's too close to the line, to his property line,
Okay.
Okay. So,
for me.
All right.
okay, there's a lot of subjective stuff going on here, and I would like to kind of transition to being objective. And I heard your comment on the video last week. I have, and if it's an odor issue, I can stand outside my building with the doors closed and I cannot smell it between here and that microphone
Okay.
until I open the building.
A guy that raises chickens can stand outside his building, and he doesn't smell chickens either,
That was gonna be
Because
my
he's there.
suggestion.
because
okay?
he's there.
We've got a sheriff's department, I'm assuming has a narcotics unit. Send one of those guys out there and see if.
We sent our building department out there the other day, and they took pictures and could walk around it and smell the odor coming out. And that's what the concern is with the neighbors.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, and I know there's applications that you can use to filter anything that exhausts out. There are.
So, where's my status right now?
Be sealed up.
The board is considering whether or not to withdraw the conditional use permit that was prior granted.
All right. Have you seen the new law that was just passed? Have you not read it?
No, I have not.
I support that. Let's do that. Let's scrap my application, okay? Let me take a look at the new law that was just passed. Let your county attorney take a look at the new law that was just passed. And let's come to either an agreement or a disagreement on whether or not, what actions the county can and cannot take against a medical cannabis association, establishment. Is that
So are you
fair?
asking to withdraw your application?
I'm saying that's an option if that's what you guys want to do.
Well,
I'm not
know-
going to stop growing, okay? Because my position is I don't need your permission to do that.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll take the matter up then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we withdrawing?
Yes, do I have a motion to withdraw this previous, consideration? I don't know the
What's
date.
proper verbiage to use for
Yes,
this?
so what the board is doing, and what Mr. Gaines, I think, is intending to move for the board to do, is to rescind the prior conditional use permit issued to Rehoboth Farms LLC as a medical cannabis grow facility. It would be a motion to rescind that prior issuance.
All right, do we have a motion?
So move.
Second. All right, Jay makes a motion, Daniel seconds it, Steve third, any other discussion from this bench back? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right.
Are
So
we ready for
the-
executive session now?
Sir, yes, sir, I am. I do want to point one thing out. Any law that was passed in this session, as you guys well know, will go into effect, if at all, July 1. When July 1 gets here, I'm all about us figuring out what the law is. Until the governor signs it, it ain't a law.
I make a motion to discuss the need for executive session.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
Jay made a motion, Daniel second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Make a motion for executive session for economic development
Yes, your matters will be both litigation
and litigation.
Jay made a motion, Daniel seconds, all in favor? Aye. Pass.